We don't get it, and we never have. How's it going?
It's going well.
Yeah? Do you like Vladimir Putin's comments about you?
Sure.
Why has President Trump kowtowed to Russian President Putin since the beginning of the campaign?
When people call you brilliant, it's always good, especially when the person heads up Russia.
No one has a good answer. Yeah.
Well, I mean, also as a person that kills journalists, political opponents, obviously that would be a concern, would it not?
Any other candidate would have hit this softball out of the park.
He's running his country.
But not Trump.
At least he's a leader, unlike what we have in this country.
Joe tried slowing down for emphasis.
Yeah, but again, he kills journalists that don't agree with him.
Well, I think our country does plenty of killing also, Joe. So.
But Bob Mueller heads into the office every morning to put the puzzle pieces together. And what we know so far might explain why the president appears so panicked. September 2015, 3 months after Trump came down the escalator to announce his campaign, Michael Cohen, executive vice president of the Trump Organization, began discussions about a Trump Tower project in Moscow. That same month, Cohen said this as a campaign surrogate.
There's a better than likely chance Trump may even meet with Putin when he comes here for the United Nations. People want to meet Donald Trump.
Your outside counsel intimated that you may have a meeting with the Russian president.
Well, I had heard that he wanted to meet with me, and certainly I am open to it. I'm not sure. I know that people have been talking.
Cohen told the Washington Post that he discussed the deal 3 times with the candidate, and that Trump, who led in nearly every poll for the Republican nomination, signed a letter of intent with a Moscow-based developer on October 28, 2015, the night of the GOP's 3rd presidential debate.
I think maybe my greatest weakness is that I trust people too much. I'm too trusting.
In an email on November 3rd, later reported by the New York Times, Trump business associate Felix Sater wrote to Cohen about the Moscow project. Quote, I will get Putin on this program, and we will get Donald elected. In early December, soon-to-be Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn was paid through his Speaker's Bureau to attend a gala with Putin. Putin later said they hardly spoke.
I didn't even really talk to him. That's the extent of my acquaintance with Mr. Flynn.
Flynn later denied being paid by Russians. January 2016. In an attempt to revive the stalled Trump Tower Moscow project, Michael Cohen sent an email to Putin's personal spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, to ask for help, according to documents later submitted to Congress, reported on by the Washington Post. Peskov later said he got the email but did not reply. Meanwhile, Trump began to rack up primary victories and endorsements.
I told Donald Trump, this isn't a campaign, this is a movement.
February 29th, 2016, Paul Manafort, a career consultant for international strongmen, wrote a memo offering his services, according to the New York Times, in which Manafort offered to work for free. Recent court filings accuse Manafort and Deputy Rick Gates of being tied up in a multi-million-dollar money laundering scheme with pro-Russian interests. They have pleaded not guilty. On March 10th, Russian hackers sent phishing emails in an attempt to compromise the inboxes of Democratic Party operatives tied to Hillary Clinton, according to the Associated Press. Within 9 days, they would have access to at least 50,000 emails of campaign chairman John Podesta. In a meeting with the Washington Post on March 21st, Trump announced members of his foreign policy team.
Carter Page, PhD, George Papadopoulos. He's an oil and energy consultant. Excellent guy.
That very week, Papadopoulos met in London with a Russian national and a professor with ties to the Kremlin. Volunteer Papadopoulos emailed Trump's national co-chair Sam Clovis and several members of the campaign's foreign policy team, telling them he had met with the Russian ambassador and, quote, Putin's niece, who discussed a meeting between Russian leadership and Trump. Clovis replied not to make any commitments and added, great work.
I have nothing to do with Russia. To the best of my knowledge, no person that I deal with does.
At a national security meeting held in the under-construction Trump Hotel in Washington, Papadopoulos told Trump, Jeff Sessions, and others about the meeting. According to advisor J.D. Gordon, Sessions shut down the idea. The president said he doesn't remember.
It's a very unimportant meeting, took place a long time. Don't remember much about it.
A few weeks later, in late April, the Democratic National Committee's IT department picked up suspicious activity and called in the firm CrowdStrike, discovering a hack that pointed to the Russian government. At the same time, the foreign professor with Kremlin ties told Papadopoulos that he had just returned from Moscow, where he had learned that the Russians had obtained dirt on Hillary Clinton, thousands of emails. Papadopoulos continued the correspondence and attempts to set up a meeting. That night, Trump posted huge victories in a slew of states.
I consider myself the presumptive nominee, absolutely.
April 27th, Trump delivered a foreign policy speech at the Mayflower Hotel in Washington, D.C.
Some say the Russians won't be reasonable. I intend to find out.
In the audience, Jeff Sessions, who met with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak at a reception before the speech, an encounter Sessions forgot in sworn testimony.
I did not have communications with the Russians.
Jared Kushner also met with Kislyak at the event, something he would not disclose for more than a year. Reuters later reporting that Kushner had 3 undisclosed calls with Kislyak from April through the general election in November. In May, Kushner received a message from the deputy head of Russia's central bank, Alexander Torshin, seeking a meeting and hinting that he had a message from Putin. Kushner declined, yet Donald Trump Jr. met with Torshin on the sidelines of an NRA event. But the biggest development was still to come.